They say life has a way of humbling you. It's not always with a whisper. Sometimes it's with a thunderclap. One day, you're on your feet, moving forward, thinking you've got everything under control. And the next, the ground is ripped from under you. The people you thought you could count on vanish. The plans you thought were set in stone crumble. And suddenly, you're staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., wondering how everything fell apart so fast. You know that moment. Everyone does. The moment life knocks you flat. It's the moment you realize you're not in control, that the world doesn't bend for you just because you work hard or because you're a good person. It's the moment that tests everything you are. And here's the part they never tell you. Falling hurts. There's no poetic spin in that first drop. It's ugly. It's raw. It's terrifying. Your pride shatters before anything else does. You feel small. Invisible. The same world that used to applaud you now walks past like you were never there. You start asking questions you never thought you'd ask. Was I ever good enough? Did I really deserve any of the good I had? But then something else happens. Something no one warns you about, and maybe that's a good thing. Somewhere in that pit of hopelessness, you notice something strange. It's quiet. The noise of everyone else's opinions fades. The distractions that filled your days before are gone. And in that silence, you hear something you didn't hear when you were busy running, your own voice. At first, it's faint, almost too soft to notice. But it's there. It says, "You're still here." And that's the first spark. Not of victory, not of triumph, but of survival. Because here's the truth. Being knocked down isn't the end. It's the pause before the rise. And sometimes, it's the only way life can force you to stop long enough to see the wings you've been carrying all along. You never noticed them before because you were too busy walking. Maybe the world had to push you to the ground so you could realize you weren't meant to crawl through life. You were meant to fly over it. But flying doesn't come easy. It demands something from you. It demands you look at the wreckage of what you've lost and say, "Okay, I'm starting again." It demands you rebuild not just your life, but your belief in yourself. And this is the part where most people quit. They think falling defines them. They think the fall means they've failed permanently. But that's not what defines you. What defines you is what you decide to do next. So, if life has knocked you down, maybe, just maybe, it's because it's time for you to discover what it feels like to rise higher than you ever thought possible. Maybe it's time to stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" Because the next chapter of your life isn't going to be written while you're lying down. You get up slowly, not gracefully, not like in the movies, but shaky, unsteady, almost unsure of your own strength. The world hasn't changed yet. The problems are still there. The bills still need paying. The heartbreak still lingers. The people who doubted you haven't suddenly switched sides. But something inside you is different. That small voice you heard earlier? It's louder now. It's not screaming, but it's steady, and it says, "You can still move." And that's enough for today. Not to win, not to conquer, just to move. Here's the thing about rebuilding after a fall. It's not a straight path. Some days, you'll feel like you're making progress. Others, you'll swear you're right back at the bottom. You'll take 2 steps forward and then get hit with a reminder of everything you lost, and you'll stumble again. But each time you get up, you'll notice something. It's a little easier than before. That's because strength isn't built in the moments when life is kind. Strength is built in the days you drag yourself forward even when no one is watching, even when you don't see results yet. Every tear you wipe away in silence is a brick in the foundation of the person you're becoming. And slowly, the fear begins to fade. You stop being afraid of the fall because you've survived it. The worst has already happened, and you're still breathing. And in that realization, you find a kind of power that can't be taken from you. One day, almost without noticing, you start to dream again. At first, the dreams are small, paying off a debt, fixing something broken, getting through a week without falling apart. But then, those dreams grow. You start to imagine a life that's bigger than the one you had before the fall. Because here's the secret no one tells you. When life knocks you down, it also knocks down the walls that kept you in. The limits you thought were unbreakable, they've already been shattered. You're free to rebuild on your own terms now. But freedom comes with responsibility. It's easy to get bitter. It's easy to look at the people who laughed when you fell and want revenge. But if you chase revenge, you're still letting them control your story. If you chase growth instead, you take that power back. So you start putting in the work. Quietly, patiently. While they're busy talking, you're busy transforming. Every day you rise a little higher. a little stronger, a little more unshakable. You stop asking for approval because you realize you don't need it anymore. And then it hits you. You're not just standing anymore. You're starting to lift off the ground. Your wings, the ones you didn't know you had, are starting to catch the wind. You still remember the pain. You still remember the fall. But now, instead of weighing you down, it's become the fuel that pushes you upward. The first time you truly feel that lift, it's almost terrifying. You've been on the ground for so long that the idea of rising feels unnatural. Your mind whispers, what if you fall again? And maybe you will. Maybe you'll stumble midair. But here's the difference now. You've learned that falling isn't the end. Your first attempts at flight aren't graceful. You don't soar like an eagle on the first try. You flap awkwardly. You catch a gust of wind and then lose it. You rise a few feet, then drop back down. But with every try, you understand a little more about how your wings work. You start realizing that all those nights you thought were wasted in pain were actually strengthening you for this moment. The struggles you cursed, they were training you. The losses you mourned, they were clearing space for something greater. And as you keep rising, your perspective changes. Things that once seemed huge and terrifying now look smaller from up here. The opinions of the people who doubted you don't carry the same weight. The failures that haunted you lose their power. You start seeing the bigger picture, that your journey isn't about proving anyone wrong anymore. It's about proving yourself right. There's a quiet strength in you now. You're no longer chasing validation. You're no longer trying to fit into someone else's definition of success. You've discovered something far more powerful, the ability to define your own. But don't get me wrong, the skies aren't always clear. Storms will still come. Winds will still push against you. Some days, you'll have to fight just to keep from being pulled back to the ground. The difference is that now, you know you can. You know you've faced worse and come out alive. And then one day, something incredible happens. You look down, and you realize you've flown higher than you ever thought possible. You're above the doubts, above the fear, above the version of yourself that once thought you'd never recover. In that moment, you finally understand. The fall wasn't a curse. It was the push you needed to find your wings. Without it, you would have stayed grounded, safe, and small. But life had bigger plans for you. The people who once pitted you are now asking for your advice. The ones who laughed when you fell are now silent, watching in awe. But you don't rise to rub it in their faces. You rise because it's who you've become, someone who refuses to stay down. And as you look toward the horizon, you realize this isn't the end of your story. This is just the part where you stop surviving and start living. When you've been through the kind of battles that nearly broke you, a strange thing happens. You start to see beauty in places you once overlooked. You notice the way sunlight hits the ground after a storm. You appreciate a quiet morning. You find meaning in the smallest victories. It's not that life suddenly became easy. It's that you became stronger. You've learned that strength isn't loud or flashy. It's in the way you get up in the morning even when you don't feel like it. It's in the way you keep going despite fear still sitting in your chest. It's in the way you choose hope when doubt seems louder. And maybe the most powerful lesson you've learned is this. No one can take your will from you. People can take opportunities, money, even relationships. Life can strip you of comfort, security, and plans. But your will, your refusal to give up, that's untouchable. You start to understand why the fall had to happen. Without it, you never would have discovered what you were capable of. You wouldn't have developed the patience to endure, the vision to dream, or the courage to try again. There will always be people who doubt you, not because you can't do it, but because they can't imagine themselves doing it. Their limitations are not your truth. You've learned to stop internalizing their voices because you've heard something louder, your own. And as you rise higher, you begin to feel a responsibility. You realize your story isn't just for you. Somewhere out there is someone going through the exact kind of darkness you thought would swallow you whole. They need to see someone who made it out. They need to believe that they can, too. So you start speaking. Maybe not on a stage, maybe not in front of cameras. But you speak through your actions, through the way you treat people, through the risks you take, through the way you refuse to give in. Because flying isn't just about escaping the fall. It's about showing others that falling doesn't have to be the end. It's about rewriting the definition of strength, not as the absence of pain, but as the ability to transform it into purpose. And here's the truth. You'll fall again. We all do. But this time, you won't see it as failure. You'll see it as another chance to discover just how high you can go. The day will come when you look back on the hardest seasons of your life and realize they were your training grounds. The pain didn't break you, it built you. The nights you thought would never end were actually forging the strength you would need to soar. You see, life doesn't hand you wings. It gives you falls, so you'll have no choice but to grow them yourself. And once you have, no one can take them from you. Think about it. Every scar you carry is proof that you made it through something that could have destroyed you. Every disappointment you've endured taught you a lesson no textbook could teach. Every time you thought you couldn't take another step, but did, you were learning to fly. So now, the question is not whether you can rise. The question is, will you? Will you stop waiting for the perfect moment and create one instead? Will you stop letting fear convince you that you're not ready? Will you decide, right here and right now, that this is the season you lift off? Because the truth is, your life will not change until you decide it must. No one's coming to hand you your dream. No one's going to clear the runway for you. You have to step forward, even if your legs are shaking. You have to take off, even if the sky looks stormy. And here's the beautiful part. The same people who once doubted you, ignored you, or even laughed at you, they will watch in disbelief as you rise higher than they ever thought possible. Not because you wanted to prove them wrong, but because you wanted to prove yourself right. This is your moment. The moment you stop letting life's punches keep you on the ground. The moment you spread your wings and say, I'm done surviving. I'm ready to soar. So go. Chase the dream. Start the project. Make the call. Apply for the job. Write the first page. Take the first step. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to begin. And when you do, remember this. The fall is not your ending. It's your beginning. Because when life knocks you down, that's when you learn to fly. Now rise.